We're going to look at exercise 7.15, which is collapse. Make sure you attempt this on your own before going over the solution with me. Now that that's said, let's go over the solution. So we want to write a method. It's called collapse. We'll start with a public int. And the reason why we're starting with int like this is because we want to return an array of integers. So public int is going to be called collapse, and we take a integer as parameter as well. So this is going to be our header. Inside of here, what we're going to want to do is, using the array that we're given, we want to add the next value and combine it into one value. Talks about it all right here. We want to return a new array containing the result of replacing each pair of integers with the sum of that pair. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is set this new array, right? Because we want to return a new array, so let's create it inside of here. We'll do int like this, we'll do new arr is equal to, and we want to just set the size. We don't want to fill it in with anything yet. We're going to call a new int, and we'll have our brackets like here. Inside of this, we need to declare our size. And our size, if you read through the example, it's just going to be what we have here. Since we're adding 2, like this, we are going to divide it by 2. But what if it's odd? If it's odd, it's going to kind of mess up, right? Because it's an integer. We're dividing integer, and it's just going to round it down. So what we can do, because this won't affect the even since it'll round it down, we'll just take our arr.length, we'll add 1, put these in parentheses as well, and then we'll just divide this by 2, like I was saying. So that's how we are going to get the size of our new array right there. Now let's focus on adding into the new array. So for this, we know that we're going to be going by 2, right? And for our for loops, because for loops, we can increment it however much we want, we can do these together. The only issue with that is our index is we need to have a separate counter to add into our index of this. That'll make sense in a second right here. I'm not great at explaining things off the fly, so if our int, or for, we have a for loop, we're going to start at a is equal to 1, and the reason why I like doing this is, so if we're adding 2 things together like this, we don't have to worry about it overflowing, going out of bounds. If we start at 0, we would do like a and then a plus the next one, right? But with here, we could just do a and then a minus 1. And we always have minus 1 because we always have 0th index. So, and you could start at 0 if you would like. You would just have to compensate for that in this part where we're setting a less than or equal to the array length, so arr.length minus 1. Because we don't need that right there. And we have a plus equals to 2. And the reason why it's plus equals to 2 here is because after we add these two, we don't need to do this, right? So we're going to skip this index. And if we skip an index, well, we're going up by 2. So we'll go to this next one right here. So this for loop header is super important, just like this declaration is. 2 separate things, both equally important. Remember, these can vary. Whatever you would like to choose, whatever you like to do. That's how I'm doing it here. We are going to set our new array, and we're going to have inside of here our counter value. We can't start at index 1, so let's make a new counter value. We'll do counter val, and we'll set int counter equal to 0 initially. Right, so the new array of our counter is going to be equal to the element at the previous index, because remember we're 1 ahead right now, so arr, and then we have a minus 1 plus arr at our current index, which is just a. So that's going to add together, and then we'll just increment our counter every single time, and then we can end this for loop. So that's going to add everything into here. Now there is a condition, like what if it's odd, right? If it's odd, what's going to happen is instead of having, like, let's say we have 6 right here, right? This is 5, but let's say we have 6. Actually, this is a good example. We have 5 right here, right? Well, if we have 5, we do plus 1, 6 divided by 2, we are going to have 3. So we need to fill in this last odd one right here. And what that's going to be is just this last part right here if we can't add anything to it. So we're saying here, if our counter, and to understand this, you need to look at an example like this going through this for loop. we have these two together and then these two together. Well, our counter, because we're going through this for loop twice, is going to be incremented twice, right? Counter is not going to equal to the length of this. So then we would have to add this value in. So if our counter does not equal to our new array dot length, then we are just going to set our last element in here. So new arr with our counter. And it's okay to set this in here. This is good as an index because this should be one less than the length no matter what. And index is always length minus 1. So it should be equal to our arr with, remember, last element in here, right? So arr, and then we have our arr dot length minus 1. So that should get the last element if it is odd. And then once we're done with this, we're going to return our new array. So let's end this, close this, everything looks good. Let's press submit. And we passed 6 out of 6 tests with this code. So that's how we'd go about solving this problem using this code.